Due to the graphic nature of the following content, it may not be suitable for all viewers.
Israel's Interior Ministry says more than 14,000 African refugees crossed the border from Egypt in 2010 alone. But many others have failed. One of them is Mahari Takle Abraham from Eritrea. He was captured after injuring himself trying to cross the border into Israel. Mahari says he spent 2 months in a Bedouin camp in Sinai.
They beat you and torture you if you try to run away. If you try to escape, they hurt you, but you still have to try to escape.
He says he was tortured by the Bedouin smugglers until his family paid $2,000 for his release. Now he spends his days handcuffed to a hospital bed and will probably be sent to an Egyptian jail and then deported. Hamdi Al-Azazi says the scale of this human bondage and stories like Mahari Takle Abraham's are frequent and tragic. Al-Azazi regularly visits the Egyptian deportation jails, like this women's detention center. He gives the inmates food, cigarettes, and cell phones. He says those who go to jail are actually the lucky ones. Those in the custody of the Bedouins are the ones who suffer most. So would you say that this is modern-day slavery?
It's more than slavery. It's terrible. You can't accept. If you tell any person about the stories there, nobody can accept your talking, because they will answer you, no, you are a joke. It is not true. Is it true? Somebody do that in this time in the world?
Many of the refugees escaped with their lives only to lose them close to their destination. This is a cemetery in the Egyptian port city of El Arish. Al-Azazi tells me a story of the man who occupies this simple grave, a grave marked only with a single stone. This is the resting place for a man he met just before he died, Issam Abdallah Mohammed, a 20-year-old refugee from Darfur in Sudan. He was shot by Egyptian border guards trying to cross over to Israel in June. Al-Azazi recorded a conversation with him just an hour before his death. These were among his final words.
How did you get from Cairo to here in Sinai?
Arab Bedouins brought me here.
Issam stated the Bedouins left him and other refugees at the border, and the Egyptian army fired at them as they attempted to jump the fence.
They did not even tell us to stop. They said, "What are you doing here?" I was not even moving when they shot me.
Abdallah Mohammed's death is far from unusual. Egyptian border guards have shot dead many refugees. Egypt has said it's targeting smugglers and criminals, not refugees. Many of the corpses end up here, the local morgue at El Arish Hospital. The refrigeration units broke down years ago, and the place is filled with decaying bodies of refugees, mostly from Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Sudan. We have to wear these masks in here because otherwise the stench would be absolutely unbearable. Even with them, we can only stay here a couple of minutes at a time because it just smelled so bad. Several bodies are in here right now, and they keep finding new ones in the desert. A lot of them have gunshot wounds, and some of them, they say, even have some of the vital organs removed. Operating as a one-man NGO, Al-Azazi searches the desert plains around El Arish 3 times a week. He says he frequently finds corpses there. He has made it his mission to try and make sure they get a dignified burial. Those that can be identified are buried in a Christian or Muslim cemetery, but the ones who remain nameless end up here, outside the cemetery walls, under heaps of trash.
As you see inside, lots of bodies, it's known. Their names, nationality, the ID or passport. We find any information, any data to tell us from where this body. So, and we have to know he's Muslim or Christian also. So we bury him inside. But outside here, it is named Al-Sadaqa grave. This is Al-Sadaqa graves. It is for unknown people.
So where you don't know the identities?
We don't know their names, nationalities. We have no data about them. So we have 3 lines here, and it is covered around 300, 400, 350, 400 bodies.
400 bodies here?
Yeah, under this land. So we have 3 lines, and in the same time, every line, we have 3 lines down.
Oh, so they're on top of each other as well?
3 bodies up.
Al-Azazi estimates that he's buried more than 1,000 refugees here in almost 7 years on the job. Issam Abdullah Mohammed was one of them. Close to his grave in the cemetery at El Arish, the next batch of bodies is ready for burial. 4 refugees shot by Egyptian guards at the border with Israel, their corpses found in the desert. 2 of them were identified and buried in the cemetery. But the identities of the other 2 are unknown. They receive a dignified burial in an undignified place, the mass grave on the garbage dump outside the cemetery walls. As they dig the final resting place of these 2 unknown men, the gravediggers stumble upon the remains of other refugees. They find enough space for 2 more bodies, unlikely to be the last. For many of the Africans, the quest for a better life ends here, in an anonymous hole on this wild gravesite outside the cemetery. Most probably, no one will ever ask for or find out their names, or what sort of hardships they had to endure along the way. They came so close to their goal, only to find death in the desert.